Yes, it is. Can you hear me? Angela, can you hear me? Oh, the delay. Good morning, Liz. Hello? She can, okay, cool. Yeah. Streaming it, so there's a, yeah. Yeah, I just heard it.
I'll let you do that.
Good morning.
After I told all of you, I'm doing it.
This is a collaboration as one includes the 10 sessions working with we're super excited to be these using the fact that you have 8 comments, use the comment section. We'll talk as you see it. So 1 minute delay, so we might do it and do some questions, but we'll make sure that might be a little bit later. And it's yes, words, this thank you. Good morning, everybody. So excited to be here. So excited about Supported Housing Institute and to be here at the finale and to hear all your presentations. As you know, IDA is really committed to increasing the amount of affordable supported housing in the state of Illinois. That commitment runs from the executive director across all the organization. You have many members of IDA here today, in person and online. It also comes directly from the governor's office, from Governor Pittsburgh, across the administration. And in fact, we have been able to offer what we call super a permanent supported housing financing last year, this year, and next year, where we were able to increase the funds available from $45 million for the round up to $60 million. We're so thrilled to be able to do that. And we're hoping that we can find the sources and work with the legislature, et cetera, to continue those super rounds going forward. But we're clear that we've had 3 years of funding for that, which is great. In order to give out that money, award that money, and to create this very important housing, we need people in organizations like yours, right? To be the developer or the joint venture partner or the social service provider with the developer. And so we are really committed to growing the pipeline of really strong permanent supported housing providers. And that's where the Supported Housing Institute, CSH, SHIPA, all of you come in. So again, just so pleased to make the drive early this morning from Chicago. So pleased to be here. I'm really excited to hear your presentations. Thanks, Angela, for all you've done to make this happen. Thank you for your commitment. I can't say anything about that this morning. Did you? Great. And so now I just want to give David, who's been our partner, and she does amazing work throughout the state. We're super excited for our partnership to bring this together. Yesterday, we had an amazing resident panel. And we're going to spend one hour with the work that we do. And it is also being part of our engagement. This is our first institute in a while that we are committed to having at least one more. And then we are partnering.
Thank you, Angela. So again, my name is David Esposito. I'm the Executive Director of the Supportive Housing Provider Association. I'm just going to be really brief, just to say thank you to IF for the opportunity to bring this institute together, and thank CSH for allowing us to partner with them on this effort. We're really excited about the opportunity to bring and to increase the number of supportive housing developments for consideration for the PSH program and IDA, as well as the other affordable supportive housing funding rounds as well. I just want to thank the projects that are here today, or the agencies that are here today, as our first in many years of the Institute. I'm really excited. It's been a pleasure working with you over these last few months. I'm really excited to see your final presentations today, but then also to work with you ongoing. as your projects develop and actually come to fruition, because then that's when we'll be working much more closely on ensuring that your projects, the success of your projects, and housing those. So thank you very much. And
Awesome. So yes, we're gonna arm wrestling match. You can go first. From 9H1, so we got to come on. For those of you that are Eastern Line, your presentation. And you learn a little bit about it and some of their personalities.
I don't know what she's saying.
Like working times at Manor, which is Winnebago County Housing Authority. We are located in Northern Illinois, counties, and we're working on some of our projects. My name is Lynn Rosen, and I am the speaker of the housing support program with Manor. I also am the coordinator for the So Julie's gonna run the clicker for me here.
Okay.
So this is the building we picked out. It is a historic building. It's gonna be called Patrick's Place. And it's gonna be used for our reentry program and our mainstream program.
Hold on. There we go.
So the purchase, the building was about $150,000. The city of Rockford is about 130 of that. So it's not gonna be too bad to get started. Okay, so I have a lot of fantasies, by the way, just so you know, the architects are in no way done with this building, but this is what I'd like it to look like when it's done. I'd like people to walk up and think, wow, come home. I'm sorry, the construction is going to run about 5.1 million for the deconstruction, reconstruction on the outside, all of the mechanical. That's about right. Okay, so this is a really big thing for me. I don't know about anybody else, but my outdoor space in my room is where I find my peace. So that doesn't mean it works for everybody, but for me, it's a really big deal. Inside I have a computer room, computer labs, things like that. But having a fire pit, all is actually a garden. It's a lot of the area that this building is located is a food desert for Rockford. So having some place to put some fresh vegetables and some spices and things like that. And then a fire pit to hang out. Have a place to hang out. And then a piece garden, tranquility garden. I don't know if anybody's ever seen one of these, but it's, I'm a real dork when it comes to this kind of stuff. I think a little bit of a waterfall going, and I want some place I can find my zen. That's gonna run us about 150,000 if they don't have it. So I'm saying good thing looking at it. All right, so this is the basic floor plan. We went through, we looked at some of the floor plans, and if you notice, everything's kind of pretty open. We want to make sure that every apartment is going to be accessible, not just the Main Street. So there's going to be 17 reentry RHSP and 7 Main Street. And the Main Street is our disabled housing. Julie will say more about that. But we're going to try to make sure that everything has this open floor plan where everybody can use it. Oh, I'm sorry. Apartments there were about 269,000 per unit, including all of the construction. All right. So this is my idea for the interior design. I was looking through the kitchens. Unfortunately, it's not a really great picture of it, but it's all set for somebody that's in a wheelchair. They can reach everything. It's got bars that pull down the upper cabinets. It's really kind of cool. Everybody can use it. If you're able to be mobile and stand, you can use it. If you're in a wheelchair, you can use it. If you sit in a bar stool or a chair to use it, you can. And then the cabinet's actually got the sliding door on it. If you're staying in this hotel, that's where the idea came from, by the way. It's got the sliding bar door on it. Well,
When you're in a wheelchair, one of the hardest things is to try to pull that door whichever way. I know we have the buttons, but the buttons aren't really attractive. I thought this is a really good solution to get around that. That's gonna be about 1.9 billion to build the interior the way I see it. All right, so this next part is about who will live in Patrick's Place. She's gonna explain where the funding, Julie's gonna explain where the funding comes from, who they are, how we got involved, and what we're doing currently.
All right, so first of all, we're going to talk about the reentry services. So for the reentry program, what it is that, again, it is a pilot program that is with ICC and IDA. Find any applicants that you would and then they are showing how the program works, and they explain how everything works. At that time, they are referred over to me, and then I get in contact with a class coordinator who has connections with Goodwill, shared stuff, like the different kind of household goods. So it could be anything from a shower curtain to cups, knives, bedding, things that we use every day and we don't really think about as really important for somebody who is starting with absolutely nothing. I've had some participants who have moved in and they have family that isn't everything that's been had. Some who have been released with a cardboard box, and maybe a couple of items that have literally nothing. With the reentry participants, the tenants, they actually have wraparound services. So with IBOC, they have the PRG, it's the Rural Reentry Group, and they kind of have case managers that work along with the tenants. So they end up having, access to staff benefits, any kind of medical. Usually they identify the needs of the new tenants before they actually are released. So whether it's mental or substance use, something of that nature, so then they have the support that they need to move forward. Right now, so it says that we have 30 of the statewide vouchers that were offered to Illinois. As of right now, I have 9 apartments currently. It's been very difficult to find landlords that would want to be a part of this program. With this program, with the supportive housing, it actually will end up taking about 17 of my available 30, and it would end up making sense and probably even cut our current rate, which is 22%, even more, because it would have the background services available right there. Statewide recidivism rate is 43%, so I would say 22 is fantastic. Again, that was lower as well. So the mainstream voucher tenants, it is a hub project-based voucher. Mainstream in itself is honestly, it's a regular base voucher, Section 8, but it is geared toward specific demographics. So they must be homeless and a person in the household 18 years and older and under the age of 62 at the time of moving in, they must be disabled. So what it is, it's a referral-based program through the city of Rockford. And they apply to the city of Rockford ends up bringing the application to us, and then they are and then they are given the voucher with the traditional type they go and they buy their own land. But with this project, they will end up having this with the background service needed.
Okay, so thank you, Joe. So some of the social services that the inside of the building. Julie kind of went over what we're currently doing. We were also part of New York University's pilot program for reentry, which is kind of what I have jumped off of to do their pilot program. And one of the things we found out is that you really need daily services when you first come home. Now, I mean, that seems kind of obvious, but not to everybody, and we just were like, okay. So one of the things that'll definitely be in is we'll have 3 stations for everybody who lives in. Main Street, reentry, doesn't matter who you are. When you move in, you'll get move-in partners, we'll have stability partners, we'll have success partners. And what I mean by that, move-in partners are good ones. They're gonna make sure you have the furniture, the shower. We work with them, in a food bank. They make sure the refrigerator is stocked. And I kind of want to go back to something Julie was talking about. When we started, our very first person showed up. And the landlord happened to be out of town. And so we needed to get him the keys. So I went with one of our maintenance guys in the maintenance van, which by the way only has 2 seats. Oh, this is on YouTube, I won't say that part. Anyways, so we show up there, he gets off the bus, he has a box. Literally a box. And that is what they sent him home with. He has no idea where he's at. He's not from Rockford. The bus station in Rockford is several miles away from the city center. And he's like, okay, now I go, do you know where the bus stop? He's like, yeah, but I don't have any cash. I'm like, oh. So there was no preparation. I mean, this is all learning process. There's no criticism to this. It's a learning process of how we got where we're at. So I'm like, all right, well, let's at least take him down to the bus stop. I'll give him a couple bucks. We'll get him down to his apartment. And so we get to the bus stop, which is like 5 blocks away. It takes him an hour and a half, by the way, on the bus to get to his new apartment. And he says, well, I need to use your phone if you don't mind. I know I've asked for a lot already, but if I don't call parole, they will violate. I'm like, oh, okay. So now this gentleman has no people there. He has nothing to have. He has the box. He has no phone, and he has to call parole. He has no money, by the way, so we don't have pay phones anymore. So I'm like, all right. So we decided at that point, we're just going to take him to his apartment. So we get him in the van, we take him to his apartment. I stop when we get there. I hand him my phone. He tries to call parole. He gets the lady on the phone. She said, well, what's your pen? He says, I don't have one yet. She said, well, I can't help you without your pen. He says, well, I got to check in. So this is a really long story, sorry. But the point of all that is that's when we realized what we were screwing up on our end, what we had to do to help them be ready. So that's when we got the food. And actually the food didn't come around for about another 2 people. And we realized, wow, we moved them in with all this stuff and they don't have anything to eat. So it's a learning process. So the moving partners do things like that though. They'll show the building, we're going to have peer movers in that group. Show the building, talk to them after we get started, obviously. And then we'll have Goodwill in those Northern Illinois. Okay. Stability partners are when you get into mental health care and transportation and phones. And we use our Ross coordinator for referral for this. We have a partner in town, Crusader Clinic. They have a case management system. They help them apply for Link and for medical card and for everything that helps them get started. And then the success partners, once we have everybody stable, we've got your medical, we've got your mental health, we've got all the things that you may have asked for done. Then we're going to get you connected with the workforce connection. A lot of places called America's Job Center. I'm not sure what it's called here. And we're going to help you either educate if you want, or go to work if you want. And we actually have, I don't know about all workforce, but our workforce program has a disability program that helps people that are on SSI where they can go to work if they want. And we also have an over 55 program that if you just want to kind of still be part of the workforce and not really be part of the workforce, they have a program for that too. So anybody who's interested is going to be able to do this part. And the other side, if you're just kind of hanging out at home, don't be successful for that too. So resident services is going to cost us about $85,000. And the reason I have that number up there is because we're going to be referral. We're not gonna be the experts in everything. We're gonna know what we know, and we're gonna refer out what we don't know. And that'll be our roster, resident service coordinator. All right. So I run through this like super fast, and then have lots of Americano. So the construction income is, they're applying for about $7.1 million. City of Rockford's putting in for the building. Commonwealth Edison, I'm not really sure, but they seem to be giving us a grant of some kind. And then they're still working on more. So a lot of budget is not completed yet. Gotta be really close because I believe they just applied for the 9% tax credit RFP that's out. Okay, so now we've run through that really quick. Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll let Julie talk to you.
So she's wondering how we came up with the 22% versus the 43% that the citizens like in Illinois. So what we have found is that we obviously we look at the 43% Illinois. When it comes to the 22%, that is what the citizens like for the program is implemented. So, oh, yeah, so the NYU program we had originally, and then also the current graduate reentry program. So that's how we came up with the 22%. And the reason why I'm saying it is even lower is because with this project, when they are going to be in and close to us, we would be able to know exactly what they need right then and there. Whereas right now, this is an ever evolving program, so honestly, fail at something, you learn what works, what doesn't work. So with the current situation is that they're spread out through the Rockford area. So you only really see them maybe once or twice a year when they have to do their annual recertification. You're relying on others, you're relying on pool, which is our obviously expected. Us two were kind of spread thin as well. This is how it is. Housing, or actually any services right now. So it's kind of, we know that they're there, we kind of monitor them, that, you know, because I mean, they're not really what they need to do, but we're aware of what is allowed. So that's where the 22%, you know, and it can get lower.
What was the other question, Rick? Okay.
Can you just tell me what your total project budget is, you think, right now? I mean, you showed us individual slides, but the total cost would be.
And it's a really good question. We should be able to answer that, but unfortunately, we need a answer on that financial side of it. And the person, this is the SU that we were sent at the time. I have a feeling the total project is about 9.5 from what I've seen. I don't remember now. My calendar, I'm just going off the numbers we were given. We have my question in the back. Just providing how many units and then do you want to do more? What do you see the need is? The need is huge. But yeah, we have 24 units in this project. 17 of them will be re-entry RHSB and 7 will be mainstream. I could see there being, honestly, there's about 4,100 parolees in Illinois, and Winnebago County gets their share of them. No, that was the Winnebago. Yeah, that's the Winnebago number. So I can see a few more. I can't tell you how much more, but I mean, you really do not find landlords. They're like, yeah, we want to jump on this. But she's got a really good report. She's been trying for 6 years. And we have a lot of landlords on that program. And even the landlords that really been successful, they're like, Nope, don't want that. Well, okay, but, so this will take care of 17 of what we have currently. She'll still need four more just to fill the vouchers we have. So yeah, I see a further need, it's just. This, I think that's, I don't think that's beyond 2024, 2025.
So where would like to add that? Right now, I be maybe overflowed with the referral money. Because if I say, go ahead and just send me whoever you have, people, it would be for a good reason. By the time I was buying something for this person, anytime you do whatsoever, they were probably either A, living with family, finding their own, moving away, whatever they would like to do. And pretty much similar to our regular housing program. I was on a wait list for a very long time and then finding something else. So I told I was even kind of need to hold off for a bit because I don't have any units for that. And I'm hoping that this project will end up. We were on the news talking about the program for a good 15 minutes, and then we did 10 seconds of my talking, which you guys have been listening at all for 15 minutes. You'll understand why because I'm available. But that made the news. So I'm hoping that this will have positive light, and then there's other private landlords who would want to take part in it as well.
My last comment. This has been really interesting, really great. Have you, I don't, if you haven't, it's fine. Have you talked with your current reentry residents and asked them what they would think about living in a building with 16 of their fellow reentry, people? Are they? And I'm just wondering because I'm just wondering about that because we have conversations about integrating people into the neighborhood in the way that you don't know who's reentry and who isn't, but you've identified all the difficulties of that, and services hard to coordinate. But then also some of the pros and cons about kind of concentrating people in one building. And I'm really interested in if what the reentry folks themselves say. No, I'd love to live in a building that had a Zen peace garden and services. So that's my primary question. Yeah.
So I will say that I have spoken with family and say that being in the same community was actually really good, relate to one another. I have yet to speak with them in regards to just one building with the service fair, the Zen garden, and whatnot. But I will say that Ida has sent out a questionnaire that I'm supposed to send out to all the reentry participants and all the tenants. I have yet to, but I'm still going to give it feedback, positive or not. Would love to find out positive because we all want these to go smoothly, but the negative ones too is really pleased to learn exactly where.
I think it's going to be along the lines of, it's permanent supportive housing. We don't want them to move, but the success rates in the transitional living kind of give us an idea that this may work. And we really haven't started the marketing part of this yet. We're going to talk to the neighborhood. I'm more worried about the neighborhood being mad at us when I'm impressed. But I think we have a pretty good reputation for it, and our executive directors worked really hard to get that reputation. So we're pretty truthful about what we need to see if we go okay. We've asked everybody else in the house. That may be involved. I think there'll be some option to be outside of that. We're not going to do all 30 houses in there because that means that one person's like, absolutely not. I need to be somewhere else. Questions?
my question is criteria. Are there any who's eligible for your
For an IBC. So there are the two main, well, actually, two main. It would be the lifetime sex offender, you cannot be a lifetime sex offender, and also there is the arson factor.
And methamphetamine, not federal
And
drug.
that is the one that. But other than that is it.
And two of those restrictions are HUD and one side. Otherwise, we would not, we do run their background like our regular process because it's fair housing says we have to. But they're doing that work for us in IDOC. They're supposed to make sure that they're safe to come in and live in the building. That's not us. It's in it. Is that it? Any other questions? Thank you.
That is. What is not working out? Okay. What did I just do? There we go. And meeting goes here, turn on.
All right, good morning. I'm Jeff Stedler. I'm the Executive Director of Credit Services in Illinois, 70-year-old comprehensive provider of support to people with intellectual disabilities. And this is Brad Brooks, who's the Executive Director of Growth Project Northern Illinois, who provides day supports and other things that we do. I think the kind of foundation of this project is most moving forward for people with intellectual disabilities come from parents and advocates for people who want people with intellectual disabilities. And the whole idea of making something together, this project is sort of on I also think it needs beyond
Brett.
and as we're both executive directors, we're
It's three groups, just private services. The progress, one for us, especially people with developmental disabilities, and then also pre-bus community. And on board with them. know we contacted the developer and project. And this background was he was on the board of directors of a new agency that serves about the politics. His first Jim has committed to working with us. Brian has committed to be the developer. And both of them say, we're not doing this for the profit, although they'd like to break even. They're doing it because their heart is in it. And I think that's a theme that we found so far throughout all of this. So what is Church Street neighborhood? The idea is that it will be a neighborhood, not a building. And the idea is of a neighborhood where people with disabilities and people who do not have disabilities can live in community with each other. Separate duplexes, separate homes. We'd really like to see it be a place where we provide the foundation for this service, and the service providers that people with disabilities have will be able to tailor make services for each client that they serve. And then the vision, as we say, is we want it to be a dream. I will tell you that as a parent, it's not enough anymore to know that my child will be in a group home someplace where I have to trust that their needs are taken care of. I really want my child to be in a community that's transparent, that's porous, where I could come and visit them where they live any time of the day or night that they allow. They can have visitors that they want when they want them. They could be in the house, out of the house. They would own the house or rent the house, but the services that they receive would be separate from that. That's really the goal. So like to say, we want them to be comfortable. We want them to grow in confidence. You want to take it a little bit? Can we stop? There's feedback on this thing. I keep getting echo on what I'm saying. It's very distracting. I hate hearing that.
It's the feed on the laptop. See, we're all learning more about how this works behind the scenes. All right, so one of the key things for this is that I'm a service provider, and if you come to private services and you have your funding, you have an electrical spill, we have it up in your group home. You go in that group home, we own the home, we provide the services, and that's been the model for years. This situation will allow that person to say, no, I don't want you. I want Goldie Floberg from Rockford maybe to come down. It's 30-minute drive. I want folks from there to provide my services, or I want Village Progress to provide services, or I want a personal support worker from Doors. So it isn't dependent on one provider. People have their ability to find a provider they're comfortable with, not just take what comes with the house. And I think that's a really important key in all of this. The other thing is we want to do kind of the jagged tooth development. So there would be some lots. We have parents that said we would build a duplex there. We'd rent one half out and we'd live in the other half. And when we got too old, our kid would own that house and they live in the side that they have until they're tired of living there. We want to have a neighborhood. That's what we call it. We didn't have a fancy name, but it's on Church Street. So we're just going to extend Church Street in Mount Morris, Illinois to involve this neighborhood. So it isn't going to have a sign out front. It's just going to be another neighborhood. We expect families to be living there, people with disabilities, at least old people living there, but just be part of town. As far as the services go, the supportive part, so people would choose their housing, choose their provider, if they have intellectual disability, try to put together what they need. And the supportive part would be come into what, if you've ever had the opportunity to stay at a really nice hotel, you have a concierge at the front desk and you say, I need X. And they say, oh, well, we can do that right here. This would be that kind of catch-all utility infielder that would say, oh, the bus didn't come today. I don't know how to call the bus company. I got to call work and tell them I'm not going to be there. Can you help me with that? It would be a variety of those kind of issues, just those little ticky-tacky things that for most of us, we can kind of work through. But if you're not neurotypical, may be a huge impediment. But we also see this service for the other families that might live in that neighborhood, people that have a HUD voucher. Maybe a single mom has the same issues. They would have this support available to help them problem solve and kind of coordinate what is available for people. But I think it's the key to this is all those little things that happen to a person with an intellectual disability that we may not think of anything of can cause a huge failure in their day. And so having a person that can just kind of get them in the right direction and coach them, and then maybe work on educating them on how to deal with that. So that's a key component. We also see that there's space where we have community buildings. So we're hoping that the Independent Service Coordination Agency that kind of does the benefits for people with disabilities have an office there. We'd have a place for telehealth. There is across, a short walk, there is health clinic and it's a walkable neighborhood. So there's groceries and things too. So if you're from Chicago, you just get on North Avenue and go west, and you will get to Oregon, Illinois. A lot of people from the city come out to White Pine State Park, which is nearby where the Black Hawk statue. There's a lot of beautiful countryside out there. But we're close to a lot of things along the Rock River and to the western suburbs. You can kind of see what's available in town. This part of town where we're in, but it does meet the walkable things, pharmacies, there's grocery stores, there's normal Dollar General and Casey's that every small town has, restaurants and bars close by to where we're at. And then this is the kind of neighborhood. This is an old, the school used to be here. This is a current junior high that is closing. And this is Pine Crest, which is 130 years old, that supports people who are old. So the other thing from a parental standpoint is that my wife and I and our daughter who has a disability, we move up here, we build a duplex, stay and we live there. As my wife and I get older, we can navigate over to the supports we might need and be a golf cart right away, right? So that's kind of a positive thing.
Yeah, so I included this just for what if. When we talked with Jim, he was saying this is a great project. You should think about if it's successful, where do you go from there? It just so happens that the Oregon School District closed the middle school in Morris and sold the property. And they auctioned it off. Highest bidder bought it for about $50,000. I spoke with him at some length. He has absolutely no plans for the property. He's just from Mount Morris and didn't want to see it fall into the quote, wrong hands, unquote. He likes the idea about this being a potential phase 2. That phase 2 there is 15 acres. And even if we took the southern third, that would give us another 5, 6, 7 acres that we could use to expand this project. Do you want to talk about the demand, Jeff? I'll try to keep up.
So independent service coordinators, they track people that are applying for benefits for 24-hour supports, applying for home-based services, and then there's waiting lists, which is a whole, we can talk for 4 hours about. But the ISC has a neat little thing where they can pull up everybody looking or applying, and you can see their little dot on the map. And so Brian and I had a good meeting with them, and Ogle County, where this project is, there's 10 people that have funding and are looking for housing, 27 on a waiting list. Boone, Stevenson, Winnebago, our friends from Rockford here, 92 people seeking housing, 270 on a waiting list. And then when you kind of go to Cowley, Carroll, Whiteside, so that's Mount Carroll, Sterling Rock Falls, Cal Sycamore, Dixon, Amboy, 145 people that can't find the housing supports they need. So there's 247 people with funding and looking that can't find housing in the area, and another 672 on the waiting list. So really, we need 1,000 housing units for people with intellectual disabilities in North Central Illinois. So yeah, 5% get on into this project. We're full completely. So I think that the demand is there in that location, in the kind of the middle of Northwestern Illinois. Oh yeah. So Ogle County Housing is very excited about this. They've offered up 12 project-based vouchers. They said we can probably have enough other vouchers that people could use. There's especially long waiting list for 3 or 4 bedroom units. So we have talked about wanting families in here. And so, yeah, a single mom that needs a 3-bedroom house and she can't find one anywhere in the area, we'd be happy to have her there. And she could probably use those kind of supported housing, concierge supports we're talking about to get through her day. So several things we want to, it'll be one story. Mount Morris is not a city of big buildings. We want everything to be universal design and visitable. So we're talking about, no steps, no impediments, no barriers to using any of the housing units. And we want it to be porous. So again, that jagged tooth development, so there'll be some private housing in it. And then we just want it to be, I'm walking down the street and I'm just going to keep going and not consider this like the housing project or the disability ghetto, right? That's not how this is even, but this is exactly the opposite of what a lot of projects have been in the past. Brian's big on the courtyard kind of design. So we've talked to some folks about, keep your cars away from your people, make it more walkable. A lot of people with intellectual disabilities don't have driver's license, some do. We're both involved in public transportation with wheeled transportation. So busing and transportation is going to be an easier aspect for that because we already do that part as part of our everyday business. And we want to make sure it's nice green space, nice for the neighbors to work at as well, because there will be some NIMBY folks. So we're looking at 20-25 units, a mix of single family, duplex, triplex, 2 to 4 bedrooms, a community building. The community gardens for the town is already on that property. We want to move it to more central again to draw people into the community, and then potentially have a small dog park. There's a kids playground right across the street by the city hall. So, maybe a block walk for most people. It's a really nice little playground. And then kind of develop that kind of green space that people can be around. The outdoor space that previous folks talked about is important. So this is just kind of we aren't as good at slides as some other people.
Well, at least in hand drawn. But yeah, it shows you that the duplexes and houses can be, courtyard type pattern. And then what's not shown is, to the extent that there's garages or carports, they'd be on the street side of the neighborhood. And then there'd be walking paths through the side of the neighborhood. But think about locating the community building to the east, so it'd be centrally located if we came to a phase 2, right? So caveat for Ida and others, we are still at 20,000 feet. We do not have a budget drawn up We've only started working with the developers. But Brian Fritz has estimated that a complete per unit cost to be about $300,000. And, through my higher math skills, 24 units, $300,000, you're in the ballpark of $7 million. You figure out a couple $1 million for the infrastructure and the like, and to my non-developer brain, that puts you in at around $9 million. Whoops, I went too far. One thing I just want to say real quick. When I first became the director, I spoke with a couple of them in their 80s, caring for their 60-year-old son at their home still. And I was trying to convince them to put their son into a group home, because at some point, he's highly autistic. He's going to want to make that, they're going to want to make that move. And I still remember the father, who's since passed. He smiled, really nice guy. He leans over at me. He says, "You don't understand, Brian. It's not that Mike needs us. It's that I need Mike." I get that as a parent of a child with a disability. Jeff gets that. As we said early on, the whole point of this neighborhood is to provide a place where any parent can have the assurance that their child with a disability is not just being physically cared for, but has a chance to thrive as a member of a community, not just as a resident in a home. And that's our vision. So thank you. Time that just went on.
I don't know if anybody has any questions about, yeah.
You talked a little bit about homeownership and rental. Do you see any rental in there, or is this part strictly for homeowners, like an ownership situation?
No. We see all of the things. So we see voucher-based, project-based vouchers. We see just vouchers. We see people building homes. My wife and I, when we get older, if our daughter doesn't find a place which she likes, probably will get tired of walking up and down the stairs in a 150-year-old house, right? We'd probably sell our house, build a duplex, right? And that Liz would own part of it, and would, if she rented out the other side of it, would have an income, right, for herself. So we have parents that said they would build here if this was here, because they have the means to do it. So we would like to see a mix of private ownership houses, market rental houses, and voucher housing, so that you do get a decent mix of people, and it's not just the housing project in Mount Morris, because we don't want that. We want it just to be another street in town.
Yeah, my permanent diagram doesn't show it, but any of these parcels can be carved out as an ownership parcel, a market-based, that sort of thing. That's the jagged tooth, or the whatever it was that you used for a phrase.
Did you have this site? Well, I'm interested in what going through the Supportive Housing Institute, how it maybe changed or helped shape your vision of this community. Did you have this site already? And what did the Institute, teach you about this
I
site?
blame Lori Baker. It's all Lori Baker's fault. So Brian had this site. He
So,
tricked me into joining this group.
like I said, 3 or 4 years ago, Carol Bosch, Pinecrest. So I got this property. It's an old elementary school that had burned down. I think it'd be cool to do something like this. It scratched an itch with me when I was a seminarian at Western Seminary in Holland. They had just finished, when I graduated, building a dorm called the Friendship House, where seminary students would share an apartment with a person with a disability. It has transformed the seminary in a good way. Duke University has since built one. Vanderbilt now has one. By the way, all of them are because parents drove it, not the school. But I digress. I attended a supportive housing institute about 7 or 8 years ago here in Springfield by CSH. But it wasn't an IDA thing, it was just what should supportive housing look like. So then when this hit in, I thought, that was pretty cool, we could apply. And then we talked to Lori Baker. Lori says, hey, there's this boot camp you should go to. And that's where we started to cover this. And this has really been, Jeff and I were just talking about it. It has been a mind-blowing journey to take on. I feel like Alice in Wonderland, where nothing necessarily makes sense. You just have to trust that this is how it works, and it does work out.
So I just have, oh.
But I was just gonna say that the other thing is the supportive housing part is, you know, people with intellectual disabilities, they usually get all of something or nothing. And what the supportive aspect of this allows is giving people what they actually want or need, not the fire hose of here's all the things you're getting and we can't not give you these. But I think having that kind of special person that can just give them a little support as we try to be more hands-off in allowing people to be more independent.
Yeah, I mean, your comment about how when one thing goes wrong, it can make the whole day. I mean, one thing goes wrong for us, it messes us up for half a day. But you said a person with intellectual disability, a whole day. I mean, but right, you want to give them that boost. I get all that. And the campus design is amazing. It's wonderful. Each of these projects is so great. I just think of two things: being a city planner, being a finance person. One, you are designing kind of a bigger community. So your architect becomes really important, and you going and looking at other communities that have walking paths and accessibility and all that is obviously really important. So I'm just saying that out loud to say, because it's not just a building, it's not even just a cluster of houses. You're thinking about linking it with other property, etc. And then secondly, I haven't talked to them lately, but there is a CDFI called the Disability Opportunity Fund. And I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're out of New York State, but they are national. And you might want to check out their website because they specialize also in providing, they're a community development financial institution like CSH is. I mean, and they provide financing for affordable housing for people with developmental disabilities. And you might want to just check them out as a resource.
Yeah, and on the other finance side is because it's a small town and everyone is related.
Oh, that's my other comment. Keep going.
We potentially have this in a TIF district.
Okay. Oh, okay, good.
Which would help with infrastructure.
Okay.
And I think the other advantage when we talked about natural supports, it's a small town, but there's still a lot of service groups and churches there. And I think we will be able to much more easily get those folks involved in providing natural supports and be more part of this.
My coffee is kicking in. That the other thing I was going to say, obviously anything I say here today is just me commenting in general. This is not about, you know, when you guys all apply for your full applications, they'll be reviewed by skilled staff who will apply all the criteria. But when I see this, I do see costs that are typically not what IDA funds. Moving the community garden, that's brilliant. I'm 110% for it. We don't usually like to pay for stuff like that. So your comment about this, so who do we look for to chip in and show their support? The city, the county, and whether they have extra SLIFRIF dollars that came from COVID or whether they have their own TIF dollars. But good, I'm glad you guys are already thinking that way because you will need some of those other resources.
Thank you.
Okay, we're running a little bit behind schedule. We're gonna go ahead and take a break. Our next group will be the team from Phoenix team. So in about 8 minutes, we'll come back and then we'll wrap up with our next few groups.
It's so much fun. Oh my gosh. I love, this is my favorite thing. I'm a lender. I mean, this is what I love, just looking at deals, right?
I will say hybrid is not fun because I'm like,
looking
at the YouTube comments, the sound is Bob
so.
has it. Are they? Hi,
Hi,
nice
how are
to see
you?
you. It's so cool to have you here.
Okay, so you actually.
Hold on.
Are we ready to roll? All right, good morning, and, well, first of all, I want to thank Ida and CSH. Ida and CSH and also SHPA for putting on the Institute. My name is Zach Baker. I'm the president of Board of Trustees for Phoenix Community Development Services out of Peoria. Molly Pilgreen is our director of operations. Pam Stevens is our director of housing and community development. And then we have Darlene Lindsay, who is our #1 accountant. A little bit about Phoenix Community Development Services and the services that we provide. We're a community development company, or we do community development, housing development, economic development, and neighborhood investment since 1982. We provide healthcare. We're a licensed and accredited mental health provider, and I believe one of the only in our region that also provides supportive housing. We provide supportive housing. Currently have 190 units. We're the largest PSH provider in our Tri-County region. We have a homeless outreach team, the only homeless outreach team in our region, and it's been there since 2015. In addition, we have Howie. Howie stands for Hygiene on Wheels, Independence Empowered. And we've got toilets there, we've got showers, and we've got laundry facility. And it's just been a great asset for us. We also do rapid rehousing. We are the second largest administrator of rental assistance just behind PHA. Oh, nice button. Can you go back one, please? I lost the button. Back two, please. It's going to be.
There you go.
Rapid rehousing, cool. We also do workforce development and property and asset management services. Quick, please. Oh, let me hit this power button. That's how it works. All right, an introduction to Phoenix Manor. Phoenix Manor is the development that we are proposing. We will be the owner, developer, property manager, and support service provider. Don't let that fool you. This truly is a community supportive housing project. Our project mission is that we strive to provide people with the opportunity to help themselves, rising towards self-sufficiency with dignity and respect. And our project vision is to end family homelessness by providing permanent housing, the tools and services needed to thrive that our consumers and our community need. So the community need. Currently in our continuum, there are 93 families experiencing homelessness that identify as families. There are 326 individuals experiencing home homelessness in total. That makes 419 households in our area experiencing some sort of homelessness. The current community capacity, units for households without children, we have 267. And for units with children, there are 32 available and 95% are occupied. That's really what we're looking to identify. There was a time last year when the 55 units that we are proposing would have wiped out that family need. Currently, that family need has jumped up some more. Our project proposal, we would functionally end chronic homelessness for families in our 4-county continuum. And the key there is the chronic homelessness. We prioritize families and persons experiencing homelessness with the highest vulnerability and the most intense service needs to reduce the unmet demand for our local rental market. I'm going to turn it over to Pam to talk about the project concept and design.
Phoenix Manor consists of 55 units, 10 studio units, 10 one-bedroom units, 11 two-bedroom units, and 24 three-bedroom units. The proposed address is 415 St. Mark's Court in Peoria. We do have site control, and it is a rehab project.
Sorry.
It's not.
Right.
This is a picture of the location that we have identified in aerial and the architectural plans. The tenant amenities include a large fitness center, unit appliances, community room with kitchen, a laundry center, a reading room with a library, secured bike storage, computer room, playground, on-site daycare, recreational green space, an on-site healthcare cafe, bulk storage, 24/7 on-site staff, public transportation access, and access to numerous community amenities.
So our target population are individuals experiencing homelessness. So those who are literally homeless, living in a shelter or place not meant for human habitation. Individuals or families fleeing domestic violence. Those who are at an imminent risk of homelessness. And those who are experiencing homelessness under the other federal statutes, which will allow us to serve unaccompanied youth under 25 years of age. We currently provide all of these supportive services and would certainly expand these then to our proposed development. So being a licensed community mental health organization is the only one within our continuum of care providing permanent supportive housing, we're able to provide counseling, crisis intervention, and community support services funded through Medicaid. We provide case management, managing case plans, referral, and linkage. We have a life skills team. Helps with a variety of needs, housekeeping, financial management, tenant support, integrating within the community with tenant activities. Benefit access, we have on-staff benefit specialists who assist with applying and maintaining for SNAP, WIC, TANF, Medicaid, and our staff are also SOAR trained to apply for SSI, SSDA, utilizing that model. We also have a workforce development and employment team. So we have job coaches. We focus on workforce readiness, supportive employment, and in March of 2023, we are hoping to have our social enterprise cafe up and running, which will employ and provide employment opportunities for our consumers. We also assist with transportation. Whether that's helping connect with bus passes, helping them learn routes and schedule the transportation. And we do have a passenger van, and then we are able to assist with scheduling and connecting with ADA and paratransit services. We also have an on-site food pantry. We provide information for local food pantries for our consumers, assist with nutritional information and dietary considerations with that food pantry. And then we also offer peer-led groups. And so we can have an on-site AA meeting in one of our current facilities for a long time. Our goal is to have AA and NA utilize the RAP model for peer-led groups. Our project is also a housing and healthcare collaboration. So this is much bigger than just us. This is an entire community coming together. So we will have an on-site healthcare cafe, which is a comprehensive collaboration of several community healthcare providers and stakeholders. The on-site healthcare cafe will operate 5 days a week, serving 8 permanent supportive housing sites and our 2 largest shelters in Peoria. Of course, this is designed to improve access to healthcare for the homeless, decrease the disparities in healthcare access and service, decrease the high utilization of publicly funded services, and improve our outcomes for such a vulnerable population, such as those who are experiencing housing instability and homelessness. So with our housing and healthcare collaboration, we have MOUs signed with a variety of providers in our area. So OSF Healthcare received a Medicaid Innovation Grant. And so through Heartland Health Services, our local FQHC or federally qualified health center, they identified the homeless population and healthcare access as their area of focus. So OSF Healthcare, Unity Point Health, Unity Place, who provide community behavioral health care and substance use services. Heartland Health, University of Illinois College of Medicine, along with their Positive Health Solutions Service Center. And that's for persons with HIV and AIDS. Our Peoria County Health Department, us as the mental health and housing provider, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs or the VA, and then Jolt Harm Reduction, all coming to the table to provide services in this on-site center. I just want to clap.
All right. Community support. Our political strategy, when we tell them what we do, the expected results, and they already know what we have done, they've seen the results that we've had, it becomes our political strategy. And so just us explaining that we are working to end family homelessness, and we're increasing our continuum's competitiveness so that we can, of course, get more grants or more funding later on down the line. And that aligns with the federal strategy to end homelessness. We have immense political support, and one of the big ones is our newly elected mayor. She is very much on board and is having strategic meetings with us and just loves what we do and gave us a great shout out at one of our recent events here for the city. We've already passed the special use zoning with city council, and this is the first time that this was ever unanimous. And that tells us a lot about the support that we have. We have 100% of the home ARP allocation conditionally approved from the city. And we're addressing and ending equity issues for African-American populations experiencing homelessness because we know that they are the greatest number in that population. And this is the first time that the city of Peoria has been on board and has led as a stakeholder for, there we go, for a homeless project. As far as public support goes, again, we've had great public support. We sent out about 20 plus letters we received 20 letters in support from businesses and organizations and other stakeholders. BHA has committed 33 vouchers and have been approved for 15 years. Our two healthcare communities, OSF and Unity Point, have funded the Medicaid Innovation Center and have signed MOUs along with many others. Our physical site is right in the center of a lot of transit, and it's about a half a mile away from any one of our other supportive housing projects, and it's also very close to those hospitals. The Healthcare Cafe is addressing our high utilizers and decreasing disparities. These are some of the things that Molly touched on. Legal strategy, we did not need a legal strategy due to the level of support, and that was nice to have. Our media strategy, really, we kind of piggybacked on others. So the media coverage that we received through the zoning and the city council approvals, that was positive. The healthcare systems have publicly endorsed the project, citing the mission's alignment with theirs. And we've provided community outreach and education. We've also answered some concerns and questions, calls and emails from constituents in the area. Okay.
The project design. This project is the renovation of an existing 7-story building. Floors 2 through 6 will be converted into 55 living units. Renovations of a portion of the first floor and basement level will provide amenity spaces and accessible entry to the living units on floors 2 through 6 with existing elevators. Design features will focus on wellness, including smoke-free housing, a fitness center with 11 fitness machines, a computer room with 19 computers, including 2 accessible desks with computers, a community room with adjacent kitchen, and a reading room with a library. In this project design does meet National Green Building Standards. The development timeline, September of this year, institute completion, December 2022 PSA application submission, with hopefully March 2023 funding allocation. Moving forward, October 2023 closing, Between October and November 2023, construction begins, with construction being complete October 2024 and 100% occupancy December 2024.
These three slides that show the funding sources. So the capital funding will be funded by the City of Peoria, Home ARP, $2 million. The IDA will be funding $9 million. We have the application will be going in at the end of this year. Other sources will be, it says unknown, but we have sources that we're working with at the moment. FHLB AHP is funding, well, we put in an application next year in June of $825,000. The community equity, 500,000, and first mortgage would be 1,356,000. And the total capital is about $18 million for this project. For the operating, it would be project-based vouchers, 705 million, instead of 33 vouchers, and a 5-year commitment. COC PHA has 11 units. IDA and Lotos, they have 11 units. They're funding the daycare. We have secure funding with them with an annual amount of about $93,125. And the parking, which is with OSL, we secure funding with them at $126,000. And for our supportive services, Medicaid will be $59,000. Our workforce development funding, social enterprise income is secured at $35,000. The homeless support, $55,000, and is secured. And in-kind healthcare services, that is secured to at $100,000.
Some of the lessons that we've learned through the Institute, data, I'm on the board of directors. I'm not in the trenches like these guys are. Day to day, I know that what they do doesn't always feel like they're winning. And yet coming here and finding out exactly what we should be doing and getting to see some other numbers and hearing what other people are doing, we've realized that we are doing the right things and that progress is just slow, and those results will show up when you continue to do the right things. It's time on the task over time, right? Achieving community stakeholder support, it really is possible when you demonstrate leadership and competency. And I will say that during COVID, our organization was really able to demonstrate leadership and our competency around what we do. And it takes experience and capacity and perseverance to build the funding jigsaw puzzle. We need to probably go back to here because we are still trying to fit a couple of pieces in there. And that's that $5 million gap. Anyway, we'll move on. Challenges to overcome. This is fully a supportive housing project, plain and simple. But it's 55 units, and it's it's about half of what our community needs, and yet there is not a PSH funding for 55 units, nor for the amount of money that we're going to need, 17 million, which just went up because of inflation, right? So that is one of our biggest challenges. Tax credits, I think it turns out we're going to have a really hard time with tax credits because we're doing a renovation and the building does not meet the codes for green and some other things that I don't always fully understand, but it's probably not going to work out. We won't be able to get those points. So where does that come from? And of course, that's why we're standing here. The timing challenges with the layered funding sources. So, you heard Darlene talk about how FHLB, right? We'll do that application, but we can't really do that until other things are in alignment. So yeah, the capital sources, HUD and the continuum, just everybody getting on the same page of the same book, and hopefully one day we could be reading the same sentence and put an exclamation point at the end of it. Any questions?
Well, once I asked a question for the first group, I have to ask a question for every group now, right? So, thank you. You put together kind of a project budget, and then you showed where you thought you would get some of the funding for that project budget. And you had, I think, $500,000 in there from community equity. I just wanted to hear more about your thoughts about what that means to you. I was just curious what that might be, if you have that.
From our continuum and then just other local stakeholders, we really have built some great relationships. And when, people need to see somebody else cross the line before they cross the line. And so when we can get everything else lined up, that 500,000 is a relatively small number. And
Fundraising, kind of local fundraising.
yes, but it will be local fundraising. I don't know that we would have a fundraising event. I believe that the community would step up, the big players. Other questions?
Can you speak to how you've incorporated persons with lived expertise into the design and development of the project as well as
Big beeline. I can talk a little bit, but not a ton. We do have resident council, which a lot of us who were here yesterday heard one of our residents actually speak about having that resident council. We also have a lot of one-to-one consumer interactions where we garner feedback all the time about what they love, what they like, what they hate, and they're always very honest with us. We also do surveys, so we have surveys at least annually where we ask how we're doing, what they would like to see done differently, what could we improve, what are we doing phenomenally at. And so we have a variety of different mechanisms built in which we garner that feedback from our consumers at any given time.
Thank you.
And I will say the board of directors looks at those surveys and goes through them in pretty good detail and asks great questions.
And we do have a consumer rep on the board. I forgot that one very important piece of information. And
Michael is the reason why we have these shirts. These shirts were designed by one of our board members. And this mural went through a grant through AARP. And it's on the side of one of our buildings down on our campus, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, it's cool to bring that all together. Yes.
Hi, I'm Liz Smith. I'm with the Federal Home Loan Bank of Chicago, and we do AHP. So very excited to see that you're contemplating us as a source. And I want to offer this to all of you. Starting this month, we'll be done with our award cycle. We have a lot of time for technical assistance. So I'd encourage you to contact me directly. There's a couple on our staff that would be more than happy to go through our scoring criteria and do the best that we can to help you structure your application in a way that will make it successful.
Thank you. All right. Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, thank you guys. Next up, we will have Be Neighbors, our local team. Yes, yes.
Technology, ain't it wonderful?
Somebody can be telling a joke while we figure this out. That's not how we say it. All right.
Thank you for being so patient.
Yep.
Thank you for being so patient. Hi, we are here today to share with you an awesome community, veteran community. We are Be Neighbor, affordable housing for veterans. So we're here to share with you our Be Neighbors Veterans Community Project. Clicker. Next. Okay, great. So what we're gonna do first is introduce to you our team. We call it our dream team. And we're gonna start with the president, Mr. Hall. Each one of us are going to introduce ourselves real quick and share with you our experience, how many years experience we have, to show you we're well equipped to do this. Mr. Hall.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Harvey Hall. I am the president and developer of Be Neighbors Affordable Housing for Veterans. I'm also a United States Marine veteran. I have over 30 years service in my neighborhood as a community advocate. I have over 30 years as a contractor.
My name is David Parker with Malotworth Parker Limited Architects. And Harvey approached me almost at the very beginning with a piece of ground he was thinking about looking at. And it was sort of serendipitous because I was looking at a tiny house concept and he was talking about individual houses and it all came together. You'll see it a little bit later. But I am now in my 38th year of practice.
Hi, I'm Demetrius Hudson. I am part of Innovative LLC. I've been in the field, I've been a case manager, so as counselor for over 25 years. Don't look at it. Don't look like I'm somebody say yeah. But I've been a counselor slash case manager for over 25 years. I am certified CADC. I have 2 degrees. I got a degree in behavioral science and a degree in organizational management. I am the case manager for Be Neighbors, and I took on, and this is more of a passion for me than anything else. I make money elsewhere, if you all notice that. But this is more passion for me to kind of assist Be Neighbors. Harvey came with an idea to start a veterans community because he's a veteran and I've been on Harvey for 20 years, over 20 years now. And he actually, when I jump on board with it, I told him, yeah, my responsibility will be, as it has been over the last 25 years, that's to kind of service the social needs of the veterans, like, substance abuse, put them on the right resources and give them the services that they need.
And last but not least, my name is Cassandra Williams. I am the vice president and developer for Be Neighbors. I have over 18 years of experience in nonprofit and public school system. I have a BA in human resources and a master's in business administration. Our other partners couldn't be here today. It's Eric Hansen. He's our attorney and developer consultant. Diane Snab is the president of Memorial Behavior Health. Memorial Behavior Health will do the initial assessment of our veterans to see what their needs are holistically. We think that's a very important component of what we do. Katrina Porter, she's with Core 3 Property Management. They will manage our property. And you met Demetrius. So let's move forward. So what is our target population? No, let me talk on. Organizational structure, that should be first. There we go. What you see here is our organization structure. Our president, Mr. Hall, myself, Cassandra Williams, Vice President Operations, our board of directors, which will consist of a veteran, one of our clients. Our resident social services, property manager, and case manager. Next, we have our target population. You probably already know what that is. Homeless veterans, right? You got it right. Our mission statement is, our organization is to provide permanent, you hear that? And supportive housing for our nation's veterans. We operate with a low overhead and pass the savings on to our tenants, who we regard as valued customers. We pledge to hold ourselves accountable for all aspects of this endeavor and treat our clients with utmost respect. Here, you will see what is all over the United States right now. It's tent cities. Have you heard of tent cities? Okay. You know we got one here, right? In Springfield. I just read an article saying that people are dropping off furniture, you know, and all those things that homeless people, you know, the population, that's not what they need. They can't carry a couch over their back, you know? They need things that can fit in something small like a backpack or something of that nature. But what moved us, which we already know, we have the support of our mayor, Langfielder. But what he said, I thought was awesome in that article. As unsightly as it is, what has been called Tent City has shown us much like a gusting winter wind in our faces. That street homeless want their own space with a simple roof over their head. I thought that was so powerful. And it's true. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dave Parker, our architect, because he has the expertise to discuss our design plan.
Thank you, Ms. Cassandra.
You're welcome.
So this is a bird's eye view, and we're looking at 18 units, all one-bedroom units, all fully accessible in every way that you can think about it. Accessible financially, accessible physically, accessible to the veterans with services provided. The building up here in the middle on the right is a resource center where services can be brought into the site for the veterans. Either if it doesn't work at their house, they can go there. There's also spaces for other things to happen. So here's the site plan, and the whole development of this came about from an odd site and a great collaboration between Mr. Hall and myself, where we were looking at individual houses, but there's this giant gas and water easement going diagonally across the site. The site's actually 3 different pieces of property. And it was gifted to Mr. Hall for this purpose, but it was almost undevelopable in terms of a single building or anything like that. So we took advantage of that to create a diagonal swipe of the driveway, which can be over the easement and then therefore not build anything. There's also a giant gas easement going up here. So we really restricted on what we could do. And so we got 18 units and we did pretty well. Okay, yeah, so so the development timeline, this is based on just the things to get through like the city permit process and stuff. We have construction documents, permits, The construction is going to take about 8 months, and then leasing and such so forth. So we think about 14 months. That does not include any kind of either review process or anything like that. So that could be stretched, but we are definitely looking at 24 or maybe even 25 opening. Here's a typical unit, and they're all the same. Like I said, it's a 1-bedroom unit, fully accessible, includes appliances, includes laundry machines, everything that you need to have it be move-in ready. And each person can sort of customize their house on the inside as they want to. And they're all connected with walking paths and access to the center.
How many square feet?
546. Tiny houses. Here's a rendering of the Lily Flower Resource Center. And so you can see that it's how proximate it is to the houses, and so that you can easily get there, even if it's winter, because Springfield does have occasional snowstorms. And so it makes it very easy for the residents to get the services that they need. Here's a plan of it, and you can see there's classroom space, there's meeting space, there's office space, and this is to be a flexible use. Service providers can work out of this. They can have computer classes, we can have educational sessions, we can have job training. There's all kinds of things that can go on in this facility. This is kind of really the heart and soul of the services that are being provided as part of the permanent supportive housing. Okay.
We only have a few minutes. Wow, time is going really fast. Next, what you see here is our site view. And all the amenities that's around our site. This is our site right there. And we drew a little square around it so you can see exactly where it is. And right here is a street, and that's public transit right there, which is great for our veterans as well. So look at all those amenities. So everything's right around there, which is awesome. Next. Supportive services. As you can see, here we are have assistance with, we assist with a referral for our veterans, resources to help them retain self-sufficiency, on-site service through our learning center, where they just walk across the parking area to that location. Here you see our supporters, just some of them that we've listed. We have 18 housing vouchers from Springfield Housing Authority, which is awesome as a partner. Next. Right here is Core 3 Management. They will be the property manager, and they will connect our clients to the appropriate units. All units, as Dave said, is ADA accessible. We want to make sure that's an extra cost, but it's worth it because we won't have a wait list, you know? Also, parking space, we consider that 15 regulation parking space and additional 70 ADA parking space. Core value, they are not core. Core 3 is also, as you can see, Bloomington, Normal, Springfield, and so on. Next, what you see here is B Neighbors Community Residents Annual Board Meeting Election. We believe our residents will be just like this picture depicted right here. Excited. Who's next for election? You know, who's going to represent us this year? Next, you see here is a quote I thought was awesome. It's about how we treat our veterans every single day of the year. It's about making sure they have the care that they need and the benefits that they have earned when they come home. It's about serving all of you as well as you've served the United States of America, Barack Obama. One last thing, I think it's very important, and we will be done, that this site was donated to us by Roman Catholic Diocese of Springfield, Lily Flower Parish, Springfield, Illinois. And that's why we're naming our learning center after you. Right now, we're seeking support through IDA. We haven't received any funding at this point. We also have applied through the city of Springfield, Heartland Continuum Care, and Corporation for Supported Housing. Thank you.
Any questions? Oh, we do.
So, I'm sorry, one question.
No, we're not.
Same question that I asked the previous project. How have you incorporated the experience, persons with lived experience, voice into design and development of the project as well as the services to be provided?
Well, before, well, we just showed you here that they will be representing our board, number one. Number two, we have done our research. We've been to Tent City. We have met homeless individuals on the street. We have listened with the Salvation Army. We've listened to their voice. That's how we came up with this concept of building a veteran community, a gated, safe, secure community for our veterans. You're welcome.
All right. I just want to add one thing. How this project came about. We never said that. I want to tell you how this project came about. I was out with Salvation Army and we was going around looking, finding homeless people, and we was giving them things they need, blankets, shirts, shoes, whatever they needed, while they was living behind gas stations and all of that. And I came with the concept of the design with David, and I told him, I said, David, I got this idea. I was at a friend's house, the same square footage, 546 square feet. When I walked in his house, he was sitting on the couch watching TV in the living room. His bathroom was to the right, his kitchen, his bedroom, his utility room. I said, it's a full house. It just has one bedroom. And that time I had 2 bedrooms, so I was like, my house just made this 1 bedroom, right? So that night I went out, and this homeless veteran was on the telephone. And we was trying to talk to him, but he was consistently on that telephone, so we waited on him. When he got on the telephone, I said, do you mind if I ask you who you was talking to? He's I was speaking to my son. He said, I got this new cell phone. Ever since I got it, he won't stop calling me. So I got to stay somewhere. I keep it charged up. But he keep asking me, can I come spend the night with you, Dad? He said, but I can't take him to the shelter with me. I can't take him to places behind this gas station. He said, I just can't wait to get me somewhere to stay where my son could visit me. But right now he's staying with his mom and her husband. And so when we took off from there, and it's dawned on me, I said, wouldn't it be so great if he had that same space I was talking about? And said his son in the living room with his little video games, playing the TV, we invite a friend over. You know how proud that veteran or any man would have been to be able to do that. And from there forward, we'll be going full steam ahead. And I thank y'all for y'all time, especially for CSH for putting this on. Now, we applied for IDA last year and got through the first phase. We're missing the vouchers. We're missing a few things to get through the second phase. But God did that so we can get to this event right here. We learned so much by being here at CSH. I'm talking about everybody, every organization here. I know that. And I just want to thank you guys so much for the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
One, I just love what you did with the site design, knowing that there's this giant easement in there and how to orient it into what looks like will be a beautiful community. So that's really great. I just wondered, can you tell me again roughly what you think your total project cost will be?
So it looks like it's going to be around $5 million. We're hoping to apply to IDA for 90% of that. We've talked to the city about maybe funding the resource center because that sort of didn't fit into the IDA pattern, and they're open to that. We don't have that confirmation yet, but they're very interested. As Cassandra said, the mayor is interested in having this go forward. And also just to address some community needs stuff, the Heartland Community of Care, Continuum of Care, identified 23 homeless veterans in Springfield-Sangamon County. So 18 is not all of those, but we're making a pretty good dent in them. And the other thing is that we've already gotten commitments from Lowe's and some other local people that would help provide materials for this and some other things helping the cost down. We can't really quantify that in terms of dollars, but we're hopeful that we can bring that cost down as we move forward.
And these units will be fully furnished. Any more questions?
Thank you.
The Commons of, do I say, I still, 4 months in, is it Mattoon? 2. Okay. Awesome. Oh, okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Our development is the Commons of Mattoon, located in Mattoon, Illinois. This is Sandy Daters. My name is Jeremy Yost. We'll be presenting our potential development to you guys.
As Jeremy mentioned, my name is Sandy Gators. I work at the Amaral River Basin Agency, or IRBA. That's just too much to say, so we just call ourselves IRBA. I am the housing coordinator for the homeless and the housing counseling department. Just a little bit about myself. You know, I manage the budgets as many as you do. Our housing counseling department has grown from 45 clients to over 1,300 with the addition of some new housing counselors. Our homeless intakes, which is rather kind of scary, it's doubled over the last 2 years. Our wait list for IRBA last week was 108 that are literally homeless, 105 that are unstably housed, house hopping, couch surfing. I was a presenter at a conference in New York just last week. So my husband says, I don't think you like me anymore. I'm always gone. I have a passion for fighting for the underdog, and my secret power is prayer.
My name is Jeremy Yost, as I mentioned earlier. CEO of Yost Enterprises, a development company. I have been developing projects at IDA for the last 14 years. My father, I followed in his footsteps. Together, we've been developing for IDA for 28 years. So we've had 14 successful developments with them. Our not-for-profit company is the developer of the Commons in Mattoon. We specialize in real estate, hospitality development, and management. And like I said, we've been doing this for 28 years and excited to be here today to present our project. So we've got a 25-unit permanent supportive housing development that's going to be in Mattoon, Illinois. Site's 24 miles north of Effingham, 55 miles south of Champaign, Illinois. So we're within 4 miles of Carl Hospital in Mattoon, VA Health Clinic, Walmart Supercenter, multiple banks, restaurants, public transportation that will come directly to the site for the residents. And LifeLinks, who's not here today, is our part of our care team that will provide on-site counseling services. And for like our tenant population, it's going to be individuals that are homeless, need any type of, they have mental health disabilities, and LifeLinks will provide that 24-hour continuum care for them and tag team with IRBA and Sandy's team. So Sandy's team will provide the rental assistance, 15 years, 15 of the 25 units. And through the HUD rapid rehousing program, and we'll step in with further assistance, and Sandy can kind of get into that a little bit more.
Sure, we can assist with other programs if some of the clients get behind on with the other units, if some of the clients are behind on their rent without whichever voucher program that they might be using. So there's other programs that are available to us. Our target population, our geographic area is Coles County. Our typical population, 92% white, 4% Black, African American, and 4 other races. So who will actually live there? Our permanent supportive housing clients are typically, chronically homeless individuals and families with disabilities with 1 or more child. So that's through the HUD guidelines. So what is a typical permanent supportive housing client? So this is John. He is super excited to be in our program.
He said, we have no other family. There was no organizations to help other than DCFS. My fear was that they were going to take Josh away from me. Urban, my case manager, the kindest person that I know, she helped me and Josh find the help that we desperately needed. We now have an apartment, electricity, food, and water. Josh is back in school. The homeless program from Urban is the absolute greatest miracle that's ever happened. So it's all about the people and, you know, just trying to serve them, trying to reach them where they're at. So we don't want to, you know, provide a bunch of, or force our clients to get a bunch of services maybe that they're not needed. We've got some clients that are currently working, some are on 100% disability. So they're at all different levels and we're just there to try to provide what they need to keep them self-sustained. So our service plan, it's housing first, of course. We assess their needs. Again, we want an individual plan. We don't want anything canned. We don't want to force anybody to take any type of services. We help the clients get the mainstream resources that are listed here. Our case manager meets with them once a month. They take over, they talk to them about their budgeting, their, you know, their skills, match them up with other supportive services like workforce development. You know, if they want to turn back to work, we're SOAR certified. So we're helping them, you know, try to get all those amenities as well, the benefits. We help them with transportation, bring them to and from doctor's appointments, you know, try to assist them. We're kind of, you know, mediators between landlord and the tenant. We have a lot of community-based assistance program. We've got a big network, as many other people mentioned. We work with the Salvation Army, Catholic Charities, Lifelinks. Very important to try to keep our clients in the loop of all the other programs that might be accessible to them as well. And again, we set goals for these clients. Many of them have mental limitations. So, you know, we have to kind of take a look at all of our clients again, make individual plans and try to work with them to achieve those goals. We work with the county board. IRBA also offers the light, heat, the energy assistance. We've got a lot of churches that we work with. We've got some really great people that are around the community able to help out with us. We also, where IRBA was pretty excited to receive a grant from the ROE, the Regional Office of Education. So we are partnering with them right now to provide more assistance with people that have school-age children, just to give them some additional services. Our community support. So we have an overwhelming need for affordable housing in Coles County and their surrounding areas. So we're kind of located, Coles County is kind of the central county for IRBA's service plan that we need, that we service. But a lot of people kind of migrate to Coles County just because it offers more healthcare and job opportunities and transportation. So when we're talking about Coles County, it's not just only Coles County, it's the surrounding areas that we also draw from. So IRBA is the South Central Illinois Continuum of Care lead. We're very excited that we've been working with people with lived experience to get their thoughts, their ideas, how to better serve the homeless population to make sure that we're meeting their needs, that we're including everyone. And we also have a person with lived experiences on their board.
So here's the rendering of the comments of Matt Toon. We want a residential style type neighborhood feeling for our residents that move in. And with the community support, our development is located on just over about 4 acres. And our site is currently zoned. So there is nothing that our project has to go through the city of Matt Toon for. As long as we build a state code, we're good to go. We're essentially shovel ready if we're fortunate to get enough funding. Our site plan, we will have, we've got 2 buildings located. We've got a community building here in the center All of them will be one bedrooms, just over 600 square feet. And we'll have walking paths around the development here. And then we've got gardening space as well. So very open, friendly site, many amenities located around. About 25% of our units will be accessible, and very easy layout design for our community space. We'll have a kitchen area, laundry, office space for lifelinks and Urba for counseling services for the residents that live on site. And our bedroom setups, one bedroom, simple floor plan, very open living room space. So timeline and funding, like I said before, shovel-ready development. We'll submit to IDA for funding, and if awarded in spring of 23, we'll work towards a closing in the fall, start construction, and open in summer of 2024. We're looking to receive donation credits as the land was donated to our development company, PSH funding, CHS funding, and then we've been working with IFF for potential long-term financing if the project needs it. Thank you. Any questions?
Question.
Yes.
Same as before. Again, how have you incorporated persons with lived experience voice into the development and design of the project as well as the service?
So thank you. So the Continuum of Care now has a monthly meeting where we draw on the expertise of those people with lived experiences to get their ideas. We're looking at the continuum of care, not only in Coles County, but just trying to draw on their experiences and, just really identify the needs that they want to address, what's important to them. We don't want to force them into, a facility that they don't feel welcome, that they don't have, some input for. So we're excited to be doing that.
What's your total project budget? Are you estimating?
We're looking at a $7 million project. That's rounding up 6.5 million, 7 million total.
Okay, now our Aurora team. Those of us who are not cruising the Mediterranean, that is.
All right, for the next 8 minutes, good morning, everybody. My name is Joe Jackson. I'm the Executive Director of Cassandra. This is Rick Guzman. He's the Executive Director of the Neighbor Project. And all of the Mediterranean cruise jokes have been about Lori Baker, the Executive Director of the Association for Individual Development. Our three organizations make up what we are calling the Aurora Permanent Supportive Housing Team. As you can see here, the vision of our project team is to eliminate the crises of poverty and housing instability by ensuring housing is a human right. And our mission is simply to provide empowerment and improve quality of life for the most vulnerable with a focus on dignity and inclusive supportive services. So who are we? Who are we? What do we do? So I'm not going to read through all of these different things that we work on in each of our individual organizations. I'll point out just a few of them though. Particularly important to this project is AIU's Permanent Supportive Housing Ownership and Operations and the Neighbor Projects, Certified Community Housing Development Organization, as well as their Path to Home Ownership Program. AID also does a phenomenal job, both with developmental disability housing services and mental and behavioral health services. We at Hesed House, we focus in on a few key things, right? Ending homelessness, one person, one family at a time through a number of different services, including our case management, emergency rental assistance, and then our on-site and off-site permanent supportive housing. which across all of that program, we have about 100 households that we service, both on-site and off-site. Truth be told, our three organizations have been collaborating for a very long time. Actually, I don't know if I mentioned this. If you put all of our collective existences together, it's about 133 years that our three organizations have been around. And we've been collaborating for much of that time. So for instance, with Hesed House and AID. So we are a part of what is called the FUSE initiative in the city of Aurora. That's stands for the Frequent Utilizers of Services Engagement. And it was, it's chaired by Hesed House. It started in 1995, and I'm sorry, 2015. I gave us 20 extra years there. And it's basically an organization that joins together all sorts of community partners. So Amita Mercy Hospital, Rush Copley Hospital, the City of Aurora Fire Department, Aurora Police Department, Breaking Free. They provide substance use and addiction services. Gets us all around one table. We look at the most frequent utilizers of public services, and we put together collaborative plans to provide services to those folks to get out of that cycle of utilizing public services as much as they do. Quick story about that relates to permanent supportive housing. We had a gentleman named Gary. And if you mention Gary's full name to anyone that works at either one of those hospitals or the Aurora Fire Department, Police Department, doesn't matter if they worked there a few years ago or presently, if you mention Gary's full name, they say, oh, I know, or I've heard of Gary. They know or have heard of Gary because one particular year period, Gary spent almost 300 nights in hospital ERs, simply just due to addiction, substance use issues, and mental behavioral health issues, where he had no other place to go. He would get caught out in the community, and he'd end up calling himself an ambulance and heading to an emergency room. With FUSE and then with Hesed's on-site permanent supportive housing program, once we were able to get him into that program, anybody want to take a guess how many times Gary went to the ER that very next year? 14. So from 300 down to 14. Translating that into dollars and cents, which tend to make politicians happy. That saves those hospitals about $2.5 million from Gary not being in their hospital. So, yeah, so this is what we do. Another thing that we've done with Manor Project just recently, as the eviction moratorium in Illinois ended, the emergency rental assistance program came to be. And so we received funding to work with Rick and the Neighbor Project. And there are about 2,500 instances where we stepped in and were able to help people with either back rent, future rents, utility payments, those types of things, where we kept people from experiencing homelessness. So again, we've been doing this and collaborating for quite some time, and frankly, we're pretty good at it. So our project concept, 1-9 Southview Street in Aurora. It is an apartment building that is for sale. There are 34 total units, 4 studios, 18 one-bedrooms, 12 two-bedrooms. The idea is to split those up evenly between our 3 organizations for our various uses. And the one leftover space we will convert to a shared office space. There are plenty of amenities both on site and in the immediate area. One amenity that is not on here but is very exciting. The basement of this building is very much open for constructing places like, group therapy rooms, computer labs, training rooms, all those different things, in addition to not just the on-site laundry and storage, but really a lot of different services that we can provide. It's a blank canvas that we can come in and really make our own to give our residents here the services that they need to get that dignity and to be successful. So why this project? Why now? I'll try to keep this brief. I was an English major in college, so when it comes to numbers, I have to have notes. I apologize for that. Rental availability and affordable housing availability. In all of Kane County, where the city of Aurora sits, right now, for all rental units, not affordable, just all rental units in general, it is less than 0.5% availability. We have dozens of people in households at Hesed House ready to move out right now. We can't find a spot for them to go. Increasing rent rates. Fair market rent for a 2-bedroom unit in the zip code where we're looking to have this project is $1,440 a month. To afford that, you'd have to make a household income of just about $60,000. For a one bedroom, it's $1,255 a month. To afford that, you have to make about $50,000 annually. In the city of Aurora currently, 35% of the residents and households there are spending more than 30% of their income on housing costs, with 15% spending more than 50% of their income on housing costs. And there is currently a 2,600 household wait list for the public housing voucher system in the city of Aurora, with an average wait time of over 600 days.
Are those the newest, just last week released FMRs?
Probably not.
So it's gone up even.
Yes, it'd be even higher now, yes.
Kane County hosted a summit 2 weeks ago, and that's where we got those
Okay.
numbers, so yes.
Yep.
Homelessness is increasing. So Hesed House, we are the second largest shelter in the state of Illinois. The only reason we still have capacity right now is we invested $1 million to expand our shelter by 101 bed spaces during COVID. But truth be told, shelters across really the state of Illinois have had their capacities cut by 40 to 60% due to COVID, and those restrictions don't appear to be going away ever. The rest of the shelters in our county and neighboring counties are either at capacity or, in one county's case, just shut down because operating the shelter in COVID is really hard. So there's a very, and I'm sorry, by the way, point in time count, which we talked about yesterday, not always all that accurate because it's one night and it depends on so many factors, but just in the last year, there's been a 55% increase in point in time counts numbers in our county. And then finally, why not? Homeownership and generational poverty. This is what Rick's organization is built upon. There are studies upon studies upon studies that show that asset acquisition and ownership, whether that be savings or owning a house, are the keys to ending generational poverty. And unfortunately, for low to moderate income individuals and households, those are next to impossible. So that's why this project is like.
Oops. Stopped working and then started working. Where are we at? Right.
We are one more. There you go. Would we have time, do you think, to do a 3-minute video or no? No, okay, and so we'll skip right through that. But our populations are households that include folks with developmental disabilities, homelessness and at risk of homelessness, and low to moderate income. Gary, who I mentioned before. Gary before permanent supportive housing. Gary after permanent supportive housing. Pictures tell 1,000 words. By the way, Gary now is doing quite well in an assisted living facility where he's thriving. He's living the life that he deserves. So. Services offered, I will not run through all these services, and believe me, there are more, but I'll focus more on how we will provide them. So AID will provide on-site case managers and counselors, 6 to 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. Hesed House, we will provide full-time case managers Monday through Friday. We also have additional backup case managers for our permanent supportive housing programs that are there on the weekend, so we can provide that as well. And the Neighbor Project has full-time property management and maintenance staff members, as well as a number of housing and financial counselors available for on-site services. Rick will talk through funding for those things in just a little bit. Community support, super important. So these are the individuals that currently have given us full letters of support for this project. Number of politicians, number of leaders of faith-based organizations. What I will say in addition to this, though, we also, Congressman Foster has recommended us through the House Appropriations Committee for $3 million in funding for this project. So obviously we have his support as well. And then between our 3 organizations, with the reputations that we had, with the longevity that we've had, and frankly, just the number of volunteers that we have between our organizations, we do have tremendous community support. and a track record of success with these things. So community support, not something we're all that worried about with this project because we have so much going into it. Can settle that? Get a drink.
Right. So I'll talk a little bit about some logistics here, but briefly also wanted to touch, well, actually, I'll get to that in just a moment. So what we're looking at is we have kind of a unique opportunity, right? It's a 34-unit apartment building that's for sale. It doesn't happen all the time. We're a little worried about the fact that it might not be for sale indefinitely, right? So the Neighbor Project is a member of NeighborWorks and has access, sort of a little bit special access, but we've been working with one of the NeighborWorks chartered CDFIs, Community Housing Capital. So we have a term sheet already for a bridge loan to be able to acquire this. We have a letter of intent that's into, so we don't have site control today, but we're working to have that by the time roughly that this PSH cycle opens. We are working with great attorneys at Applegate Thompson to be able to put together an offer that we expect to have in. And so we should have a contingent contract by the time we are looking to apply for this, and then an opportunity through a bridge loan to acquire the building and hold it essentially. The Neighbor Project's proposing to do that while we wait for hopefully the congressional appropriation that Joan just mentioned, as well as PSH and other funding rounds there. So we're that's kind of our two-phase, but then there would be an acquisition. And so the Neighbor Project is potentially looking to sort of acquire and be a holding group, and then potentially step out of ownership by selling it to a different partnership. And then we would just be more of an operational partner after that. So that's kind of what we're looking at as a way to be able to still preserve acquisition basis for the cost of this building, things like that. So as we mentioned, we kind of went over this. The one thing I wanted to emphasize here is that we are intentionally mixing different types of supportive housing. So this is where our proposal is something like 22 to 24 of the units that would be your traditional supportive housing units, some that are focused through AID on those with different various disabilities, some that are focused on people transitioning out of homelessness or working basically at the shelter now and just waiting for an affordable unit. But in many cases, those who are going to be in needs of those supports and are at much lower incomes. But then we have some units we will not be applying for PSH dollars for. They are supportive units. They're a different type of supportive units. The Neighbor Project has a model that we're looking to expand, where over the last 10 years, it's a scattered site model. We've helped about a little over 40 families, all of them under 60% of AMI, many under 50% of AMI, all of 100% minority families to be able to become homeowners. And so we have a project that helps accelerate savings, matches savings, and helps put people and combines financial counseling as well as housing counseling to be able to take folks who are working but at very low incomes, being able to move them into homeownership. And we think that pairing that with people who are working at very low incomes and pairing that with financial counseling and other things that we will have on site, that could create a model that is still permanent in terms of its supportive housing, but maybe in a 5 to 10 year time frame, we could start to see some of those folks who are in a permanent supportive unit begin to make progress, begin to pursue, see what their neighbors have done. We're not that different than them, maybe at a little bit higher income, be able to move on into a sustainable, affordable ownership situation. So that's an intentional goal here, is to sort of co-locate these models together. We're looking at some different opportunities for accessibility as part of what we'll be looking at now. Our development timeline, I kind of mentioned some of that. We're looking to have the building under contract next month, potentially closing through an acquisition bridge loan by the end of the year, and then looking at sort of permanent takeout financing that would allow this building to transfer ownership and take out the bridge loan at some point in 2023. And you can kind of see, depending on when some of those things happen, there's a lot of contingencies in here. We think that we could be completed with the construction and lease up by the beginning of 2024. So it's aggressive, but we think we can do that timeline because these are existing these are existing apartments. They're mostly occupied now. And there's a longer conversation. We have a plan to make sure that everybody there is either served or will be landing on their feet through our rental housing counseling and ability to make sure people are, we're not displacing anybody. The one other thing that is part of our project that's adding is that, and it's part of our, I think, strategy to have this be a real win-win for the neighborhood, is that this building currently has no off-street parking. And so there's parking all up and down the street in front of the neighbors' houses. And we're proposing to acquire a next door building, demolish it, and create off-street parking. That would be a real win for the neighborhood that has wanted that for a very long time. I won't go into all of these kinds of things we've done. We've kind of done a budget based on low home rents. We have all of us have experience working with vouchers, and so we are kind of we're kind of going to be putting those together and kind of scaling rents as necessary. But we potentially have a very good cash flowing property that could also support some of the services that will be there. However, we're also in a good situation where the three of our organizations have a lot of pre-funded services that we can dedicate and actually place on site here. The Neighbor Project, for example, has a 3-year contract that funds 4.5 financial counselors, a financial empowerment center. And we're looking to basically have those services on site. Same with all of the organizations. So we'll be able to leverage some already existing services. So I saw lunch was over there a little while ago. So I wanted to speak quickly and get to this last slide as quickly as we can. Yes, we have. You don't just ask the question.
Yep, yes, we do. So we have folks with lived experience on our boards. We have town halls. We have input from people in the permanent supportive housing units that we work with already. So yes, they absolutely have a voice in design and services. Okay.
Oh, okay. And 2 of the 3 organizations are Chodo organizations. So a third of our board members are community representatives, or in many cases, in fact, we have a lot of graduates of our program who are now on our boards.
And nice job. I just want to wrap up by putting this little infomercial in that because of the COVID pandemic, there was national money dedicated to affordable housing in a way that we really haven't seen before. And that money has gone through state governments, but also to the counties. And every county, I think that was represented here today, has SWIFT money, has money that are not above and beyond what they normally get and what they are normally used to having for affordable housing. And so I want to just share that information with you and say that when you have financing gaps, and you might think, oh no, I know my county used all their home money already, that actually we live in unusual times, and this is a good time to perhaps go back to your local government and say, are you sure there isn't some more funds that would be qualified for this project?
There might be a strategic reason we worked to gap into this project. I'll just kidding. That's a really great point. Thank you.
Come to the point of our reception, but before we do that, we do have certificates for all of our participants. It has been a lengthy process. We've been together for 4 months and 10 sessions. So Kristen, if you could come up and we'll call up the groups, and Liz Strappa, who is our, she runs everything at CSH, but I think her official title is National Director of Operations, something like that. If you could come up as well, Liz. Brett has certificates. Who do we have first? The Phoenix group. You guys can come. Yeah, we're gonna get a photo up. So
I'll be your photographer today. Welcome. Good job.
Liz, I want you in the picture.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to take the picture.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I guess. How do we? Too big. Richard already, I guess we can block the podium. It's not very.
Yeah, there you go.
Smile. God's picture.
Hey,
Congratulations.
Okay, who do we have next, Brett?
Church Street.
Church Street.
Brian and Jeff.
Brett could be in these pictures. You see he's stepping out.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of space.
You're here. All right. Gotcha. Yep. Brett, you're not getting any of these pictures?
He's not hearing me, girl. Yeah, Brett. Yeah, who do we have next?
We have Deb and Julie.
Good old Dad. Oh, Dad, I'm gonna miss seeing you. You're gonna have to like get together.
All right, smile.
You could have done money. That would have been totally you, Dad.
All right, Aurora.
Aurora.
And so we would not be, Lori Baker, who is part of this team, can't be here. She's on a fabulous vacation, but she was also very tremendous in helping us as we were organizing the Institute. So I would be remiss if I didn't at least acknowledge her, even though I'm super jealous of her cruising the Mediterranean on, I don't know, I know Audrey McDonald, she's on a Broadway cruise, so I'm super jealous. So, but I did want to at least acknowledge her.
Yeah, she had a whole stocking plan and everything. She ran right into Audrey McDonald, right on the elevator.
Right, come on back.
There we go. Gotcha.
Okay, and lastly.
That's you.
Two more.
Oh.
That's you, Sandy and Jeremy.
Sandy and Jeremy. Two. I can't wait to visit this project, just so I can finally.
I know.
Jeremy, I worked with your dad on his first. 15 years ago.
That's when you were what, 12? Okay. Two, okay. There. One more. Got it. Congrats.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, the Bee Neighbors. Yeah, the Bee Neighbors group has been really helpful because they're hometown, so they've given us tips. They've taken stuff to donate to Goodwill because we've had stuff, too much stuff in our cars that needs to get donated, so they've done Goodwill runs for us.
Wait, we have one more number coming.
Hey, Brett.
Come on.
I love pictures.
All right. One more. Got it.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Nice, guys. So thanks to Liz Smith from the Better Home Loan Bank of Chicago this year, who gave us some great little tips, and certainly excited that you were able to join us. And part of the reason we do the Institute is not only to build the unit creation throughout the state, but it's also create partnerships between developers, supportive housing providers, and potential lenders and technical assistance. So I hope you all caught the technical assistance portion that Liz said. In my previous career of doing development deals, that technical assistance is very, very important and very, very helpful. And a lot of you have gotten through who participated. There's technical assistance as a part of this project, so we will continue to be working with you. And certainly, I think all, if not, I think all of you have already met with John Nolan from our lending team and all of that good stuff. So we are saying goodbye for today, but not goodbye for good. We look forward to partnering with all of you as we continue to move forward. We do have food over here, and Mr. Brooks, not related, by the way.
On behalf of all of our teams, it is easy over the last, on behalf of all the teams, it's easy over the 4 sessions for us to get mired down in all the details and all the box checking. But the cool thing about today's program was it reminded me of the real lives that are being changed. And I appreciate the fact there's a lot of layers of bureaucracy that go on just because there have to be the checks and all that. But it is really heartwarming to see veterans and homeless people and people with disabilities whose lives are literally being changed because of the services that you guys provide. And I hope you don't lose track of that in the day-to-day as well. Thanks.
I'm sure know how to close it on out. So with that, thank you all for being here. Please join us for our reception. If you have any questions, we're all around. Again, thanks for all who participated. I know coming to Springfield, for those of us who are not local, has sometimes been a challenge. The logistics in space sometimes have been a challenge, but thank you for all working with us. We are looking at doing an institute next year. So Evan and I will start looking at dates and get that out here soon. So please tell your colleagues about the Institute. We really want to make sure that we're doing a great job of really building capacity throughout the state of Illinois. If you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback, we invite that as well. I believe Brett has been sending surveys, but we will send a more thorough survey to really get your feedback as we build and develop the next Institute for 2023. With that said, thank you. And
Stay there.
You
want him? Oh, including me. Okay.